again. 17 more, that'll get more. Cygnar. President. Everybody.
Hi guys, Steve here with another very quick bat rep for you. It's been a while since I've posted anything again. I've been very busy with work and stuff, so that's just the way things are, unfortunately. But yeah, this is a bat rep from a game I had about 3 weeks ago, so I'm very rusty. And also, as usual, I didn't take enough pictures, so it's going to be more of a sort of very, very quick feeling for the game rather than a blow-by-blow account. And then I also want to talk a little bit about Star-Crossed, because this is the first time I've come across it. I was up against trolls. I was playing against Calandra, and one of the key abilities that she has during this game is that she can put up Star-Crossed, which affects all of the models in her control range, and that seems to be, on the face of it, an extremely powerful ability, and it really caused me a lot of problems in this game. So I was with using my Nemo3 list. I was using the Hurricane this time. I'll just get it up on the screen here. So yeah, it was Nemo3 in heavy metal theme with Finch, obviously, and then a Squire. And then I was trying out the rules for the Hurricane. I was using a proxy Stormwall this time. I've now got the Hurricane model, so all future bat reps should have the proper model present. I've also got Dynamo and a Centurion to complete the battle group for Nemo, and a Journeyman Warcaster with a Firefly, of course. And then Strange Ways and Jakes, and attached to Jakes is a Stormclad. So the Stormclad seems like quite a nice idea on Jakes. It would have been nice to have Thunderhead, because he's just slightly more handy than Stormclad for most things, but unfortunately didn't quite have the points to fit that in when I've got the Hurricane and Dynamo in there. And then, yeah, so I could have swapped out the Centurion for maybe a Reliant, but I don't have the model for that, so yeah. So I went for the Stormclad on Jakes. It's quite nice to have the Stormclad because the Escort on Jakes, and also Defense 15 Stormclad, Defense 14 Stormclad with Sidekick is pretty nice as well. And obviously lots of things with electric shooting, including Strange Ways. He's got his electric spray. And using the Hurricane as an arc node also for Nemo is quite interesting. And my opponent had, as I said, had a Calandra, and had attached in her battle group was a Runebearer, Trollkin Runebearer, 2 Dire Troll Bombers, and they were particularly annoying in this game. Bombers with Calandra are really good because she has a lot of ways of giving them rerolls to hit. So power 16s that can actually hit is pretty good. And also a Dire Troll Mauler there, so she's got 3 heavy war beasts in her battle group, and also a Troll Bouncer, which I believe gives shield wall. Shield guard, because she's quite easy to assassinate, actually, Calandra, so that was a bit of a problem that could be solved by putting in someone with shield guard there. And we got some Troll Whelps, but I don't believe they come onto the board until later. Janissa is also there, and I think she's there to create a hill to give a defense bonus to the Warlock, and also a Dunian Knot, Creelstone, of course, with a Stone Scribe Elder, and 2 groups of Rune Shapers as well. So up against me, the Rune Shapers weren't too much of a problem because I've got resistance to knockdown built into the list with Nemo's upkeep, Magnetize. So yeah, they weren't too much of a problem. Anyway, the game looked a bit like this. My opponent's setup. So yeah, just a sort of lump of dudes in the middle, really. I don't really know what he was thinking with his setup. I just don't understand the way his list was ready to work. So all I know is that he was ready to defend Calandra against assassinations. And yeah, that's all I know, really. So my setup, you can see here. So I had a lake in my setup zone. Also, Nemo3 in heavy metal is pretty nice. I can't actually remember who went first, but it looks like I went first. It's quite nice to have that 12-inch deployment. Put the Hurricane, played here by the Stormwall, up by the lake, just because he doesn't care that the lake is there. I don't have any built-in Pathfinder in this list, so Just put him there just because that means the lake doesn't really do anything. Got the Dynamo in the middle with the Firefly ready to do some shooting, and also I was ready to have the Stormclad with Jake's run up behind the forest because she can use Escort to make him pop out and then charge. It's quite powerful, just to give an extra 2 inches of movement to a Stormclad. So I think I took a photo after we'd both done a move, and looking at it, I'd say it must have been me that got second turn. He must have got first turn. You can see my Stormclad is there up behind the forest as predicted. I was quite careful to make sure that no one had a charge lane to get to him. I also put Nemo up behind a rock here on the right. And I think I'm still playing Nemo too far up the board. He doesn't need to be that way. All he needs to do is get out of the kill box. That's as far up as he needs to go, especially with the arc node on the Hurricane. Everyone just moving up just out of charge range and just waiting to see what was going to happen. And here's after another whole round. So you can see the Stormclad did charge in and took out some of those Rune Shapers, I think. But this is really where I started to understand the problems associated with Starcrossed. So the thing about Starcrossed is it forces you to roll an extra dice to hit and then remove the highest dice that you roll. And so as I hadn't come across it before, I just what I did was, instead of buying attacks or boosting damage, I was generally in the game, I was paying that extra dice to boost my attack rolls to make sure I was hitting. So usually it's kind of a Rat 6 kind of list for the shooting, which is very important on that feat turn. And usually, for example, with Dynamo, then you want, with that reroll to hit, you really want to be boosting your damage because you're getting that extra dice for damage as well, and it really makes the damage output super high. And because I was paying that focus to make sure I was hitting, to make sure the chain would continue, then it was costing me a lot of damage, unfortunately. So Starcrossed seems extremely nasty. I even slammed, I think, the Bouncer into Calandra at one point, so they're both knocked down. So it would have been possible to even have a decent assassination angle in turn 2 here. It was just Starcrossed was giving me that problem. So what I did was, after the game, I had a look at Starcrossed, and I pulled up this. I found this on the internet. I found this chart, and I can't remember who did this chart or where I got it from because it was weeks ago now. But so if this is your chart, thanks very much, and I'm sorry I didn't give you a credit. So as you can see on this chart, if you're rolling 2d6, as everyone knows, you're likely to get a 7, or rather your expected value that you're going to get is a 7. But if you move that to a 3d6 and then drop the highest, then it changes your expected result to 5.5. So about reduces your expected hit value by about 1.5. So in the case of this game, I was mainly Rat 6s, and that means that I needed 6s to hit 12s. So as you can see, my most likely hit value would actually not hit, and actually because you're adding more dice into the mix, your standard deviation is slightly lower, so you're actually slightly more reliably going to hit that 5.5. So unfortunately what that meant was that it seemed better to spend focus to hit rather than on the damage when I had to make that decision. But if you look, if I boost, and so I'm rolling 4d6 and dropping the highest, then I've actually got a chance of getting 9s or almost 9s on average, which is a huge amount of overkill when I only need 6s to hit. So it's quite an interesting problem, and around that point where you need 6s and 7s, that's where Starcrossed makes the biggest difference. So if you need 2s to hit, then Starcrossed won't make any difference probably. And if you most likely, and if you just need not double 1s, if you have Rat 10, for example, and you're trying to hit a defense 13 model, again, it's probably not going to make much of a difference. And also, star-crossed isn't going to make a huge difference if you're likely to miss anyway. Then it's not going to make a huge difference to your chances to miss. But in that case, I guess you're probably not going to boost to hit anyway. So yeah, because the 2d6 roll probability is a curve rather than a straight line, then Starcross makes a huge difference around your expected value of 7 rather than a linear probability change. So what I found was that when using Starcrossed, it even worked for melee. And in melee, I'm mainly Mat 6 and actually Mat 7 for the Centurion and the Stormclad. And then mostly Trolls are Defense 12, so then I need 5s to hit. And if you need 5s to hit, then actually rolling 3 dice and dropping the highest is actually much better than boosting to hit, although I didn't realise that at the time. So generally, in the whole game, that Starcross really screwed me over because I made the wrong decision. So what I should have been doing is just rolling the dice normally, 3d6, drop the highest, and then just accepting whatever I got, and then boosting damage or buying attacks, and that would have been much better than boosting to hit. So that's what I learned. Although not a lot of people play Calandra, I learned is that if you're needing 6s and 7s to hit, then especially in melee, then it's better off buying attacks and spending that focus on damage and attacks rather than boosting to hit. So anyway, the upshot of that was in this game that I just wasn't doing the damage that I needed to do, and eventually the attrition very slowly went against me, and because I just wasn't putting out enough damage, and then eventually I lost because I just couldn't possibly win, I think was the reason, and I just gave up. We also ran out of time, so we weren't playing on the clock, but we did have to give up the room that we were using, and it was quite late at night as well. So yeah, so as you can see, I eventually charged in with my Hurricane, rather than attacking the Mauler, which is what I should have done. I attacked the shooty guy, can't remember what he's called, the bomber, and yeah, what I also found out is that the Mauler is there not only because he can put a lot of damage out, but because of his Animus. So again, this is the problem with my lack of experience playing against hordes, is that knowing that you can knock out a key part of an army by taking out a beast because of his Animus. So Animus gives him all +3 damage, and Calandra's got a nice feat that gives you a little bonus. This is all about messing with probabilities. So yeah, I think the Mauler was able to help one of the bombers one round my Centurion, despite having Arcane Shield on it. And yeah, so I should have prioritised taking out the Mauler when I was actually prioritising the bombers. So yeah, generally pretty bad game, and I'm looking forward to playing a lot more Nemo3 with the Hurricane, to seeing if it's viable. As I said, I've got the model now, so much happier about putting that on the table. And I think in the next game, if I get the chance, then I'll play Nemo3 again. If it's obviously a bad matchup, then I'll switch to Striker 2 again. We'll see. But I've got my next game coming up very soon, so hopefully I'll be able to get another bat rep up very soon. So yeah, that's me trying to keep it short. So see you all on the next one.